Hey guys, so Metal Cooler, LF Metal Cooler, has been out for how many days now? Like 4 or 5 days at this point. I am recording this video on Sunday, my time in Japan. So this video will probably go up the same day I record it. I was away for a few days, did a bunch of videos that were pre-recorded, pretty much all on Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday here, I haven't recorded anything or played really the game at all, just logged in to do my daily. So I did really basically bulk record before leaving for my trip over the weekend. And I also made a tweet over here asking for people to give their thoughts on LF Metal Cooler. I have a good grasp and understanding of how the character works, how good I think he is, what his role is, what I think he brings to the table. So we're going to make a video here discussing the character. I mean, for those of you who've been on the channel, know what I usually do with these kinds of videos. You'll know that there are a few specific characters I've made videos like this for before, so you'll probably know what to expect as we get into this. But after using Metal Cooler for a bit, again, we've had almost a week to see what he's got. Definitely does not feel like this character was properly tested, balanced, or really given much thought whatsoever. So I'm going to give my rundown here very quickly in the beginning of what I think went wrong with this character. And then I think we'll jump into some of the replies to my tweet and we'll look at what some of you guys have to say. And then that will probably just feed into more things that I have to say about the character. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and explain what the character does because at this point we've all seen showcases. We've all fought against this character probably. I would hopefully assume that most people did not summon for this guy. I even said in the initial summon stream and in the summon video after that not to summon just because the banner was horrible. So hopefully not many people summon for this guy. But I'm going to basically give my understanding of this character and why I think he's not good. And then we'll go into the Twitter stuff. So there's like, I don't know, 15 to 20 different parts of this character's design and specific parts of this character with his mechanics that I can point to as being very weirdly designed, strange, not really well thought out, not cohesive. I'm going to just pick a few of the main areas that I think need to be pointed out the most. And we'll start with that. And then maybe as people mention some more stuff on Twitter, we can go into more detail on those. But the first part about this character is he was marketed. I'm not actually going to pull up the Legends official website, but he literally, if you go back and read the yellow text, the reason why I like reading the yellow text on the official Legends website whenever a new character comes out is because it gives us insight into what their thought process was for the character's design. And if you go back and read the yellow text on LF Metal Cooler's official Dragon Ball Legends website where they release the news and the character's details, they specifically say this character was basically designed to be an exclusively defensive character. So his main role on the team that he's on is to be a defensive character. He's a defense type character. This is really the first character since they changed up their design strategy with the characters back in April to be a complete defensive character. Right? His main role is to take damage, his main role is to survive, etc., etc., etc. My main problem with this character, and this will be the major thing that I think I continuously bring up over the course of this video, is he's a defensive type. He is very, very tough to kill. That is true. Why is he tough to kill? He's tough to kill because he's got 3 lives. The first character, I'm going to dub this as the first character that has 3 lives. I mean, sure, like Nappa, sure, but separate. Doesn't really count. The first real character to have 3 lives in this game. And this is a far cry from what we would consider to be, I think, a standard defense type. Essentially what this guy is he is basically just a punching bag character. His role is basically just to be a punching bag. Right? That's different. If we take a look at some other defense types here, I think I actually should be able to filter by defense types on here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Defense type. Defense types historically in this game have been pretty rare. I guess this guy's considered a defense type. I don't really know if I'm going to even point to him here, but some of the more effective defense types we've seen recently. We have Ultra Super Vegeta with his Platinum equipment, I think is a pretty damn effective defense type character. The other major defensive type character that released this year that I would consider to be very good is Super Trunks. Super Trunks is a very, very good defensive type character. We also have Tamagami number 3. This is not a 2025 character, but he released in December of 2024. But this is Trunks and Tamagami number 3 are both pre-April characters, so their design philosophy is different. The only character we really have to compare to Metal Cooler in terms of being a post-April 2025 character that is a defense type unit is Super Vegeta with his Platinum equipment, not even a new character. What is the major difference between Metal Cooler and Super Vegito? So even though they're both fulfilling that same defense type role on their teams, what is the huge, massive, enormous difference between LF Metal Cooler and Ultra Super Vegito with his Platinum equipment? I would actually argue that Metal Cooler can probably stick around for as long, if not longer, than Super Vegito and be just as hard to kill as Super Vegito. But that's not because he's bulkier. That's not because he has better disrupt. It's just because he's got more lives to work with, and he's just a punching bag. Literally just a punching bag character that just takes damage, takes a lot of damage, but he's able to just come back and, you know, kind of just be very persistent. Super Vegito, on the other hand, is an extremely bulky character, doesn't really take a lot of damage, has a lot of ways to disrupt the opponents. I think Super Vegito's disrupt, I should actually probably bring up the Platinum equipment just because that's really where all the power is coming from at this point for him. Let's go ahead and just pull this up. So Super Vegito has way more powerful disrupt effects than Metal Cooler, and it's really all just coming from this. And the reason why this is powerful is not because of this on its own, it's because this disrupt pairs up extremely well with other disrupt effects. You come in with Super Vegito after already disrupting the opponent with other characters, lower their ki by 50, and basically force them to stay in with their current character. And a lot of times, the opponent's combo ends immediately. So this disrupt effect, paired up with other characters' disrupt mechanics, is extremely powerful, whereas with Metal Cooler swaps in, he's got like very, very minimal disrupt effects. So Metal Cooler, essentially what he's relying on is just, he's basically using his lives as a disrupt effect. You're swapping into this guy's first life, he's taking massive, enormous damage, he dies, and the combo is forced to end, and that basically is his disrupt. So a much different style of a defensive character than Ultra Super Vegito. And when we really take a look at the role of this character and versus Super Vegito as defensive type characters, there's not even a comparison that Super Vegito, I think, performs his role as a defensive type character way more effectively than Metal Cooler. And just as a TLDR in terms of the point I want to make with this, because I think this is probably the most important thing we're going to be talking about in this video, at least the way that I feel about this character, is I actually don't dislike the way that they design this character in terms of him being exclusively a defensive character, right? They could have given this guy way better offense. That's another thing we could talk about later. He's definitely lacking immensely in the offense department. I have no issue with them really just focusing on one aspect of these characters, right? That's actually something we could talk about with Kefla, and I've continuously brought that up with Kefla. Let me actually just reset this so we can see all the characters here. Kefla, I think, was a very well-designed character. By far the biggest flaw in Kefla is that she's essentially just a super hyper-offensive character that has pretty poor defenses, right? That's the main issue with the character. But I've been saying pretty much since he's dropped, I really have no issue with that because that is the way they want to move the game forward with characters fulfilling their specific roles on their team. The fact that Kefla is an offensive character and she excels extremely well in that department, I think is fine. Right, because she does the role well. She's an extremely powerful offensive character. She has immunity to a lot of disruption effects with her release gauge active, does a lot of damage, has ways to bypass a lot of the hindrances that some of these other characters bring. She also has the vanish restoration, and she's just a character that's able to continue steamrolling down the opponent's team, and that's really what I would expect out of a mega hyper offensive character. So we take a look at Metal Cooler, and we pretty much would expect the opposite of what we're seeing with Kefla. Metal Cooler as a defensive type can't supremely be like the best defensive character of all time just by surviving. That's not how this works. Super Vegito, where's Super Vegito? Right here. Ultra Super Vegito survives too. surviving as a defense character is like bare minimum what you need to do. You also need to be disrupting. You also need to be not taking tons and tons of damage. With Metal Cooler, pretty much what's going to happen most of the time with this character is because he does such little damage, and because he's basically just the most sticky character. Like, I don't even know. It's impossible to kill character, the biggest zombie character in the game. More often than not, you're probably hitting timer if you're using Metal Cooler on your team, because you're going to be lacking so much damage when Metal Cooler's on the field. And he's going to be taking so much damage in return, but he's going to be able to survive because of the extra lives, that at the end of the day, it really just comes down to timer and who does more damage than who. And in that regard, to me, this actually might be the first time I've ever really thought about this for like a major premium character, aka Ultra or LF character. This Metal Cooler might actually be the very first premium release that I kind of do feel hurts you rather than helps you when he's on your team, which is kind of insane to think about. Like, we can compare Metal Cooler to a lot of the other underwhelming releases that we've seen in the past year, and we could just see like Demon King Piccolo is obviously one that stands out. As you know, Demon King Piccolo wasn't a very great character in release, but Demon King Piccolo had a very clear role. I think his design was terrible because he's basically a character that you want to rush with, and his rush is an extremely, extremely powerful mechanic. And you would win matches just from Demon King Piccolo's rush, but the only downside to the character was his rush got gassed, and he's basically doing nothing the entire match. Right? This character's rush got gassed, and you basically lose immediately. There's literally no coming back from that. So that's why I hated this character's design. But having Demon King Piccolo on my team didn't feel like he actively hurt me from trying to win. That's what I feel this Metal Cooler is doing. I legitimately feel like this guy on my team is bringing down the entire team because he's providing more opportunities for the opponent to rack up damage, because eventually what's going to happen is we're going to hit timer and we're not going to be able to kill the opponent's team, but the opponent's also not going to be able to kill our team. But because we have Metal Cooler on the team, he's taking so much damage throughout the course of the fight that we just are losing because of he's on the team. That's legitimately how I feel about Metal Cooler. So there's a difference between being an effective defense type character and just kind of existing to take damage and prolonging the match. And Metal Cooler here pretty much just exists to take damage and prolong the match without actually providing any benefits to you for having him on the team. Like, he doesn't actually provide anything of value to the team besides being able to survive. But again, that doesn't actually help you because it's going to end up resulting in you just losing at the end of the day anyway, right? So when you compare directly Metal Cooler with his role as a defensive character versus Ultra Super Vegeta with his platinum equipment as a role being a defensive character, it is very, very clear who's able to perform that role much better. And it's Super Vegito mostly just because of, number one, his bulk that Metal Cooler doesn't have at all, and number two, the disrupt effects that prevent him from taking more damage, which Metal Cooler has a little bit of, but it's not nearly enough to the level where he'd be able to actually prevent himself from getting hit by, just 7-ton hammer after 7-ton hammer. So that's really the major important thing I wanted to mention here right away. Again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but other things that I could mention: lack of offense. Again, I don't really think that's that big of a deal. Would it be nice if he had way better damage and offensive utility? Of course it would be much better. But with the new character design philosophy, I actually don't think this is a huge problem right now. And again, it's the same reason why with Kefla, I didn't really make a huge deal of Kefla not really having great defenses, because that's not what her role is. Her role is to do tons of damage. Metal Cooler's role is to be a defensive character. So I'm not really looking too much at the damage side of the character. Of course, he'd be a much better character if he did more damage, but I'm not as concerned with that as I am with him being an effective defense type character. And I can't even say that he does that, right? Kefla's good because she does her role well. Metal Cooler doesn't do anything well besides survive, which is going to hurt you anyway. So Metal Cooler, I can't really say he's an effective character at all if that's the case. Characters excelling in their given roles, defense type, offense type, support types, should be the priority. We shouldn't have a character, honestly, like, this is an example of probably how not to design a character, is Full Power Frieza here. We shouldn't have characters like Full Power Frieza, at least post-April 2025, who are able to excel not only in their role as a damage type, but also as a defense type, and also just as like a way to basically just deter your opponent from being able to do anything in the match. That is not really the way to do this, because that's not what they stated they were trying to do with this new design update, right? This, just as a preface, this is at strict odds with all characters released prior to April 2024. Prior to April 2024, if we had a character release where they really weren't doing pretty much everything, or there were very obvious gaps both offensively and defensively, that was something that you really couldn't ignore. And that's one of the reasons why I really didn't enjoy this Fusion Zamasu design, is because Fusion Zamasu, I thought, was just clearly missing like 4 or 5 things that most other characters in the game that were designed similarly to this character had. And that's really the biggest issue I have with this character, like no buff removal on the opponent using a big attack, no second life mechanic. He's kind of trying to do both offense and defense with the way his gauge was designed. There were just many major problems with Fusion Zamasu. But if Fusion Zamasu came out today and he didn't have those mechanics, I wouldn't be as upset, because that's their stated design philosophy now. Right, so Fusion Zamasu came out now. Maybe he only had one of his 2 different types of gauges. Maybe he was more of an offensive character. He didn't really have the defensive stuff. I wouldn't really care as much, because that's the way that the game has changed, and that's their stated goal behind this change and their design strategy. So the fact that Metal Cooler can't even do the one thing that he's supposed to do is the major problem I see with this character. And again, I don't see what they were trying to go for with this guy. It seems like this is a just very classic example of them not testing the character almost at all. I don't see how you bring this guy into any kind of testing environment and come out of it thinking that he seems pretty solid. There's no way. No possible way. Nuh-uh. Another big problem with this character is his green card is almost completely worthless. I don't know what they were thinking with this. Like, yes, you do gain certain benefits from actually landing the green card. It's a melee counter green. It's basically the same thing as like yellow LF Gogeta Blue, Super Baby 2, Transformed Orange Piccolo, same kind of thing. But with all the characters we just mentioned, Orange Piccolo, Super Baby 2, yellow LF Gogeta Blue, if you land their green card melee counters, you gain priority. So there's a much bigger reward for landing those green card counters than Metal Cooler, because Metal Cooler simply just negates the damage, gets some healing, gets his vanish back, seals their hand, but you have to actually gain priority once this counter goes off manually, as opposed to getting priority from landing the counter. To me, what ends up happening a lot of the time is when you're in with Metal Cooler, sometimes you'll have this kind of just sitting in your hand, and it kind of almost just clogs your hand up, because there's no way you're going to be able to use this at any point with him. And then even if you do land the green card, this is just not even close to enough. This is the yellow Goku black mechanic, like, sure, whatever, it doesn't really matter. This is also fine, whatever. This is also fine. Like, again, I just don't really see what they were going for with this green. It's almost like it's just a meaningless card. It doesn't really serve any purpose. And then the other thing to mention is, before we jump over to the social media replies, the unique gauge doesn't really provide any kind of disrupt effects besides the cost increase. That's it. He's healing himself. He's getting temporary damage guard, temporary damage. He's getting some keys. Honestly, he's getting sub count down on himself, but this should be something that he does just inherently without needing to fill the gauge up, because a character having multiple lives and revive and come back, those characters are the ones that really need the sub count manipulation on their own, because that really is a major part of why the character has a second life regardless. A big example of this is Saiyan Saga Vegeta. This character has -7 sub counts to himself when the opponent uses a big attack. So you can very easily swap into this character, eat the hit, revive, and you're good to go. That's a very, very basic function of a character that has a second life mechanic. That's what this cooler is missing here. But again, another big problem is just, again, this is the only kind of disrupt that exists on his gauge filling up. We should not be in a situation where this Metal Cooler's unique gauge is less effective defensively than a character like Kaioken Goku. Another example, honestly, I'll put Kaioken Goku in like a similar spot to Ultra Full Power Frieza. It's not nearly as egregious, but it's kind of similar, because Kaioken Goku, first and foremost, is an offensive character. Very, very strong and powerful offensive character, but he's also got a very powerful defensive unique gauge that honestly I don't think he needed. So they kind of gave this guy a bit more than he needed on the defensive end. This is something that Metal Cooler would have actually benefited from a lot more than someone like Kaioken Goku. Like, yeah, Kaioken Goku having that gauge makes him a way better character. But the way that it's designed is just... Metal Cooler needed that way more than just this. Like, you slap the 2 card destruction effects on this unique gauge, this character becomes significantly more powerful and better, and fulfills his role way better, because at that point, you fill this guy's gauge up and you destroy the enemy's hand, he's not then taking mountains and mountains of damage every single time consistently. So those are just a few of the things that I've noticed are major issues with this character. And again, I'm not going to harp so much on the damage aspect, and I think when we go over to the social media replies, people are probably going to bring up the damage stuff, but I don't really consider that to be a massive problem. Again, yes, it would make the character immensely better if he did way more damage, but I am more concerned moving forward with these character releases now. Does the character first and foremost fulfill their main role? If the answer is no, the character is already dead. The character's dead already, right? You have to, you know, complete step 1 before you can move on to step 2. That's kind of the way I'm viewing this. Step 1, does Kaioken Goku do damage? Yes. Okay, now we can move on to step 2. Does Kaioken Goku have good defense? Yes. Okay, now we can move on to step 3. What else is Kaioken Goku bringing to the table? Like, we have to actually do these in steps. And for every single character moving forward, if they don't check the box off for step 1, they're a dead on release character, as far as I'm concerned. All right, so let's head over to social media here and see what people say. So again, I posted this. So this is posted on August 15th. Today it is August 17th. So I've given people a decent amount of time to get their thoughts on this character. I haven't played the game in years. Okay, well, this is not going to be very helpful. Animation seemed very similar to the OG Metal Cooler. It's only the Ultimate and the LF animation. Everything else seems pretty the animations of this character definitely not something I can really criticize. I think the animations are actually really good. Kind of a weird unit. Let's see. They designed him with a kit that has plenty of gaps. No idea if it's to align with their new philosophy, but he's definitely a unit that wants other allies to fill in those gaps. In a way, yes. But you can't be a defensive character and have like glaring gaps in your defensive abilities. The same thing with a support type character, the same thing with an offensive character. If you're an offensive character and you have gaps in your offensive abilities, you're not good enough. If you're a support character and you have gaps in your supporting capabilities, you are not good enough. You need to be able to do your role. That's it. Period. You need to be able to do your role. That's, again, step 1. Do your role. If you can't do your role, get out. Ultra full power Frieza for key reduction, arts cost increase, King Cold for subcamp manipulation, big moves. Yeah, I get this, but then why do we have characters like, you know, Saiyan Saga Vegeta who just do that by themselves? He can't do much offensively, so all he has going for him is the multiple lives, which might be the disrupt they praised him for. Right now, it's bad since every match goes to timer and he gets cooked, but I wonder if that's a spotlight on him being underwhelming or LA desperately needing a red. Yeah, so this week we are getting the Zenkai for Red Final Form Cooler. For all we know, Red Final Form Cooler could be doing some insane stuff for this guy, but I'm basically just judging this character off of how he performs on his own without Red Final Form Cooler. So again, if we see something happen with that guy's Zenkai Awakening, where all of a sudden this guy gets like some huge, enormous boost, then fine. But this is being recorded before we see that. All right, Billy, how long is this? All right, right about 50 games with them between 7 and 10 stars. Balanced purple unit in a meta where arguably top 1 is Namek Goku will snipe and deal unholy amounts of damage to Cooler. Yeah. This is the main problem. The main thing with Namek Goku, if you're swapped in with Cooler and Namek Goku comes in, locks you in, and rushes you, you lose the match immediately. Like, the match is over. You lost. And so for a defensive type to be susceptible that much to just being crushed and then you losing the match because of them being that defensive type, that's just horrible design. Terrible. Defense type under new philosophy doesn't have any real defense mechanics, disrupt to slow down or stop opponents' combos. Offensive units like Kaioken and MUI slow down opponents better. -5 key simply isn't enough. Disrupt and engage pop rarely stops the opponent. He has 3 lives for survivability, which is good, but no sub countdown. And standby, he brings the fight to the timer, but in turn, he's taking so much damage at times it sells entirely. Yeah, this is exactly what I said in the beginning. Garlic Jr. is a 1% sparking from last year. Tanks better. Not saying Cooler should tank as well, but being star reliant for good sustain isn't good. His worth now fully hinges on how good the Cooler Zenkai is. Yeah. So I was going to save this for the end of the video, but I might as well just say this now. We're already like 25 minutes in or something here. So my conclusion after using this guy and fighting against this guy and seeing many people talk about this character, my conclusion with the way this character was designed is I actually don't think there's a way to effectively balance a character that has 2 comebacks, 2 revives, 2 indestructibles. I think they probably, number one, shouldn't do this. And there's a reason why they didn't do this for a long time, right? We're 7 years into the game, and this is the first time we're seeing a character that has 3 lives, like actual 3 lives. There's a reason why they didn't do that for 7 years. I think the way you handle this is you just simply don't do this. I don't really see another way here. The other way you do this is you make the character just like pure offensive god, but he's got 3 lives. That's, I think, the other way you do this. You cannot do a defense type triple life character. It's impossible. You cannot do that. It does not work. I think what they should have done here is, number one, they should have had this guy maybe just have like endurance and that's it. And then on top of that, given him the Nappa summon ability. This guy can summon clones of himself with his green card, similarly to how Nappa summoned Cyberman. And that would be the way to get like the clone feel in with this character. But he's only got like endurance or something, and that's it. Second way you do this is, again, you can give him the 2 comebacks, but you make him like super hyper mega offensive. So he gets destroyed, but he's got 3 lives. But if he catches you, you're taking tons and tons and tons of damage. He's kind of like an all-in character. I think those are the only real ways you can do this. Have a character with 3 lives. I just think the premise of having a defense type character that has 3 lives does not work. It doesn't pass the smell test. That's what it seems like to me. I don't think you can do this. Pac-Man World 2. I don't know. We'll see. No key plus card entry in 2025 for an LF blue card to reset his full gauge to use his type neutral. Situational green card, very bad disrupt. This meta isn't meant for him. We're in a meta where you rely on damage and most matches go to timer. Can't tank his defense type low damage. Yeah, so I think, I guess the developer's idea of a defense type character in general is just a character that is very hard to defeat. And when I say to defeat, I mean to permanently remove from the game. AKA, this guy loses all 3 of his lives. And in that instance, they are correct, right? This is a very hard character to defeat. Does that mean he's a good defense type character? No, it doesn't. So I think that's kind of where maybe they got tripped up. Yeah, he's a defense type 3 life character, so he's going to be pretty tough to knock out of the match. But that doesn't mean he's performing his role as a defense type character very effectively. In fact, he's doing the opposite. I would say he's actually hurting you for being a defense type character with 3 lives. He's an okay unit with definite flaws, damage, inconsistency, gauge not having any real impact, fragility, but it's also obvious he suffers from a team issue more so than anything else. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make the case for that because, where is it? Regen and Movies are 2 of his main teams, and they're both horrible. Movies is not a team at all right now, and the main reason for that is because they just haven't given us any Movies characters for 8 months. Regen is also not a team. I mean, we can take a look here. Regen, essentially, at this point, is kind of just a subset of Powerful Opponent. This guy's Powerful Opponent, Metal Cooler's Powerful Opponent, Demon King Piccolo's Powerful Opponent, Fusion Zamasu Powerful Opponent, Omega's Powerful Opponent, Garlic Jr.'s Powerful, like, literally every single character on here, basically, besides Piccolo. And it's even like Piccolo Jr. and Demon King Piccolo are both on it. Like Orange Piccolo, of course, is not a Powerful Opponent. But essentially, this is just a subset of Powerful Opponent. But Regen is not very good right now either. Powerful Opponent essentially is kind of just like LOE. And that's really his team here. So I could see that argument, yeah. He reminds me of PyCon, where he had flaws and issues and was seen as an unnecessary release, only to be followed by Ultra UI and Bardock/Goku gave him his best team. Yeah, but the thing with PyCon is he had a very clear use case, right? PyCon's use case was he actually supported, he actually had very good green card generation, and he had subcount manipulation as a Second Life character, right? He has a very, very obvious and clear use case that he fit really, really well on that Saiyan team, that 2023 Legends Fest Saiyan team, which I think is the worst meta of all time. He fit really well on the team. Where is Cooler fitting in? Unless they specifically design a team around Cooler, where they have characters releasing that are actually designed like specifically to fill in the gaps this character has, I don't see it. I don't think Metal Cooler is meant for LoE at all, but instead for Final Form Cooler Zenkai in the next premium release of this campaign. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. If those cannot help alleviate Metal Cooler and allow him to do his role as the foundational third unit, then this campaign is a failure. Yeah, I agree with this. He's exactly what I wanted, a character who can soak up hits between freeze and nukes. I think his unique gauge is really wonky in the exact same way that Yellow Rosé's was and Kaioken's isn't, and no Kion entry sucks, but I like him. 3 lives are just so powerful. I actually completely disagree with this. 3 lives is just so powerful. If you think about it in a vacuum, is a character having 3 lives good or bad? It's good, obviously. But the way this character is designed with the 3 lives is the worst possible way you could be designed with 3 lives. This guy, you know why it's bad? I'd rather this guy just die immediately. I would rather this guy just get hit by Namekoku's blue card and just be dead. Because guess what? That means he can't get hit by his blue card twice more. And you just lose the match. Like, he just takes so much damage and you just lose. He will cost you more games than win you. Yes, I actually completely agree with this. Due to how susceptible he is to a type disadvantage, Namekoku blue lock-in. Yeah, so Namekoku, I should probably pull this up so you guys can see this. Namekoku. Okay, we're doing the thing where we can't load now. I'll just explain it then. Ultra Namekoku, his blue card removes enemy buff effects. So, I wish we could see this, but the website doesn't load. Let's look at that. We can go down here. The website's been having a lot of issues recently. Here. On activation, cancel enemies buff effects. And if we go over to Metal Cooler and scroll down, this is a buff effect. Nullify damage received element disadvantage. So Namekoku comes in, uses a strike, then a blue card. This guy is taking like 4 million damage. And you're just going to lose the damage. Boom. It's over. Most likely happens 9 out of 10 games because Namekoku is that common. Deserve better because this LoE campaign is frankly awful for the tag. Yeah, the LoE campaign has been a little questionable here. Right, we go over to Lineage of Evil. Oh god, we're not going to load here. I guess we can just go through it. Oh no, we did load. Okay. So I mean, this wasn't part of the Lineage of Evil campaign, but Full Power Frost came out next to Kefla. Dud. We got the Zenkai for the Red Final Form Frieza here from the Broly movie. I wouldn't really say he was a dud. I actually do kind of think this guy is okay, but the main reason why is because he's just so toxic and just so dice rolly that he could look pretty good, but theoretically speaking, he's not very good. Then we had the free-to-play Green Cooler, probably one of the worst free characters we've ever received. Then we have King Cold and Metal Cooler. King Cold, I actually do kind of like as 1% sparking. I don't think he's, changing the game. He's like a Tamagami number 3 level 1% sparking, but I think he's solid. Definitely much better than like Full Power Frost. Definitely much better than Frieza and Cell. And then Metal Cooler just doesn't really move the needle for the team at all. In fact, I think he probably hurts the team. Like you put this guy on your LoE team, he's hurting your team. Period. So yeah, I think this is fair. From what I've seen so far, we might be looking at yet another premium purple unit fumble. Yep, but I want to wait for LF Cooler Zenkai so that he has potentially good red to pair with him to judge him. I think, yeah, this is fair, but I don't see it happening. He should have been getting stronger with each life. His green card is useless. Yeah, his green card is like, have we seen a worse green card than this on any LF character in the past like 5 years? Is this the single worst green card we've ever seen? You know what this reminds me of, this green card? OGs will know what I'm talking about here. This green, oh my god, this is the perfect time for this website to not be working. This, can we say in 4? It's Yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku's green card prior to his Zenkai. It was like, I remember using this guy. This was a pre-3rd anniversary character. This was this guy's green card. This was a melee green. On activation, 20% damage. Enemy gets +5 sub counts for 10 counts, and then 4 switches. That's it. That's the entire green. This thing just clogged up your hand whenever you use this character. This was like one of the worst green cards ever for a premium character. That's kind of what this reminds me of. That's kind of what this is like. It is terrible. It really is really, really bad. Dare I say DKP was better. I will say this. DKP has a much more clear use case than Metal Cooler. Again, I didn't feel like putting this guy on my team lowered my chance to win. If I was Metal Cooler legitimately feels like if I just had like a 2-person team, it would probably be better than Metal Cooler. Like literally Metal Cooler, his main role has been for me, he's just a 3rd Vanish. Like he swaps in to be an extra Vanish. Demon King Piccolo at least had like a way for him to win you the game with his rush. He wasn't a very good character, right? And if his rush got guessed, he literally was worthless. I think this is one of the worst LF characters ever released. But it doesn't really feel like Metal Cooler provides any value at all. Right? You swap into Metal Cooler to eat a rush, he's going to revive, but you're also taking 15 million damage. So who's winning? Like, do you gain from that? I don't think so. His blue card can do surprisingly good damage, and his windscreen is pretty cool. So yes, windscreen is cool. I'd like to see them do more units like this, but they're probably harder to balance. Yeah, again, I don't think they did this. Like, you don't make... Get rid of some of these windows here. You don't make a 3-life character that's a defense type that doesn't tank. It's like the worst thing they could have done. He feels designed like a side SP. He's not bad, but he should be doing more from what I've seen. Yeah. They made him take the falls as an individual unit to limit the toxicity with the #1 unit. I'll say it again, the worst timing for an LOE campaign. I feel like if they were going to make these design choices here, they didn't really need to do an LOE campaign right now. I don't really know if this... Did they do this because he's going to pair up well with Ultra Full Power Frieza? I don't know. All right, let's go through some more here. Probably not going to summon on him for the sole fact that it's extremely star dependent, probably more so than LF Baby and LF Goku Black in their initial releases. I don't want to have to pull him till his 10 stars for a subpar defense unit who does less damage. Yeah, there's literally absolutely no reason to summon. Like, this might be the worst banner to summon on we've seen in a long time. All right, next. I don't know how long I want this to be. Oh my God. I don't know how long I want this video to be, but we'll keep going for a little bit. LF Metal Cooler certainly is an interesting character for the way they designed him, and I assume it's taken in count the new design philosophy. Yeah. He's a defensive type that doesn't actually defend. First of all, Metal Cooler is a highly star dependent character. If you got him low stars, he will not survive much with his damage guard. 7 to 14 stars is safe zone. Nothing is safe for this guy. Secondly, he doesn't have any self-help like lowering his own sub-counts or key on entry or buff cancellation when enemy uses an RR. He doesn't need buff cancellation if he's got comeback. The buff cancellation was really only the way you got around endurance nullifying rising rushes or ultimates with an endurance character. If he's got a comeback or a revive, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, no sub-count reduction or like key on entry or card on entry. He does have his unique gauge, which is good. I don't know, his unique gauge is kind of mid. I do like how they done his unique gauges. It's LF Red Fusions and also unique gauge. Same name, wording, and the way it fills is just the same besides using a blue card to reuse the gauge. Yeah, but it doesn't help him at all, I don't feel like. His tanking is all right, but not the greatest for a defense type. I will just say his tanking is horrible. It's terrible. Should have given 175% base, then second and third life giving 15% each. Yeah, that would have been helpful for sure if they just started at a higher amount and then gave him like less as he got through his other lives. Yeah, he's talking about how much damage guard they should have had. Not saying the way they designed him is terrible. That's not the case. I think it is 100,000% like I think this metal cooler has one of the worst designs we've ever seen. Straight up. He's a star-dependent character, and I assume their goal is to have Metal Cooler come in and eat the hits and keep resetting the unique gauge to eat more hits, and since he has 2 comebacks, it'll help his LOE need a tank defensive role. Yes, this is true, but again, this is basically what this is it's like, this is a character who's not really a defense type, who's wearing a mask that says defense type on it. Right? There's no reason this guy should have just been an offensive character that has 3 lives. Like, make this guy super mega ultra fragile, but he has 3 lives. That's probably the way they should have done this. Hope what they do to Metal Cooler, they can do it with other teams, but make it better, as this is an all-right start in the new design philosophy for defensive. I disagree. I 100% disagree with this. This guy does not fulfill his role at all as a defensive type. He does not. Just simply surviving doesn't mean you're a defense type. It means you're a punching bag. To add one last thing, if they actually make the LF Red Funnel from Cooler Zenkai good enough, then LOE is actually a team, then since LOE is missing a good red. I'm going to be honest with you. If this guy, it hurts me to say this, if this guy makes a core lineup on any team, that team is not good enough. Period. If this guy is good enough, as he is right now, to make a core part of any team, that team is not good enough because this guy's on the team. There it is. All right, let's keep going for a little bit more here. I didn't pull him, but he's easy to kill even on 8 stars, which is funny because he has 3 lives. I mean, yeah, but this is why he's not good. Right? I wish they would have given him a few more stats. I actually don't think... Okay, so it's in terms of actual just like stats, if you click this, his defensive stats are actually good. The offensive stats are terrible. The reason why he can't take hits is because of this. Right, so he gets caught by a Namek Goku Blue, a Namek Goku Lock and Rush. Like, you just lose the game. You lose the match. And it's not even Namek Goku. He gets caught by a Kaioken Goku Rush. Like, you die. You lost. And for a character that has multiple lives, if you can't reliably have this guy come in and take a rush, what is the point in him even having those extra lives? Am I swapping out of this character to eat a rush on... I don't even know. Like, if you're running this guy on LOE, am I swapping into King Cold to eat a rush because this guy would have taken way too much damage from the rush? Is that not horrible design? Like, is that not insane? He's absolutely abysmal damage-wise, tanking-wise, and overall-wise. I don't know what Legends was thinking on making him a defensive unit with 125% starting damage guard. It's actually hilarious. I just hope they don't do the same thing with full power. Or final form. Wait, what? FPC? I don't even know what that is. And do him like Zenkai. I don't know what this means. But yeah, I agree. This guy should not have been a defense type. But if they wanted to make him a defense type, you can't give him 3 lives. You can't. It doesn't work. It does not work. It does. This proves to me, like, this character is exactly the reason why they haven't done this until now. This is the reason why, because you can't do it. He is 1 release away from being very good. Okay. My question is, what could they put in an equipment that would give him what he's missing? I haven't thought about that. It would have to include Disrupt somehow. Honestly, unique gauge fills up, he destroys 2 enemy cards, and then probably like enemy key -5. Honestly, you know, just give him this. Where is he? Give him what this guy has. Let me go to the transform version here. Give him this. It's broken, but he needs it. Give him that. Stacking cost increase whenever he gets hit. Give him that. It's not going to be as effective just because like this guy gets this guy gets hit once and he's at like 50% HP. It would help him a little bit. Worst release 2025 besides 3 lives. What does he actually do? He can't tank. He doesn't do damage. He's literally just a throwaway character. I feel like this guy's spot on. Actually, I love Metal Cooler as a character. One of my favorite characters. It pains me to say this, but I agree. Blue card is good. That many lives can be a nuisance. Yeah, I agree. But it's a nuisance to you. It's a nuisance to you who's using him because it just hurts you. I went against him 3 times and he seems fragile. King Cold is fine. I like King Cold. Yeah, I think King Cold was designed pretty well. Utterly disappointed. Let's pull this up. Utterly disappointed about LF Metal Cooler performance. Freaking 5 years, and this is what we got. Yeah, dude, 5 years for this. You think that's bad? Demon King Piccolo is in the same boat here, dude. His multiple lives or damage farm for UL Super Saiyan Goku. Yep, instead of defensive safety. His green art should give a bigger reward since we're not gaining priority like plus 40% damage guard. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's stacked permanent damage guard, that would be actually I think that actually would be pretty good. If this green card just gave him permanent damage guard stacking, obviously it wouldn't be you wouldn't be able to do this infinite times. It would be like, I don't know, plus 20% damage guard permanently. You could do it like twice. That's interesting. All of a sudden, now we're talking. His gauge, when it's full, should do something in cover change, like giving key on entry or destroying arts. Event exclusive and Extreme Metal Cooler on their release were more impressive than this. The Extreme Metal Cooler was actually like one-shotting people. Yeah, it's just sad. Can't say for sure my thoughts on him because I don't have him since I'm free to play. If you're free to play, yeah, you definitely should summon on this. Haven't fought him a single time in over 20 matches, but from watching Showcase, I think he's a pretty good stall character. He is a good stall character, but you're stalling the match just to take 50 million damage. You're tanking the hits. Yeah, you're tanking the hits for 10 million damage. Like, are we going to call that tanking? I don't know. The timing of his release wasn't great in the lightest, and they definitely held back. Giving him permanent defense neutral would have been definitely helped him instead of being farmed for the arguable #1 name Goku. He doesn't have a red protecting him either, so his team is F. Is that really going to matter when you just get locked in? If you really see from the point of view of the devs, then he's quite expected to be what he is. Having 3 lives in this game is really broken. Well, here's the thing. Here, I'll give you guys a secret. You don't give a character 3 lives in this game. You just don't do it. You can't. Again, the only way you do that is you just make him super mega offense man. And then you make his 3 lives like super, like he just dies in like 1 blue card. But he's got 3 lives to work with. And if he catches you in a combo, he's like, you know, as powerful offensively as like Super Saiyan 2 Kefla is or something. That's the way you design a character with 3 lives. You don't give a character 3 lives, and then on top of having 3 lives, you try and give them these like defensive character stats. And then, you know, don't go the whole way by giving him like terrible damage guard and like subpar disrupt. Like this is a mess. This is a mess. Having 3 lives in this game is really broken, and if he was even as good as purple Evolution Blue Vegeta, he would have had a Majin Vegeta and green Zenkai Fappu situation. I mean, we got a long way to go from this to Ultra Majin Vegeta, okay? Trust me, we got a long way to go. Spot the difference. The difference is that Broly was actually like decently effective as an offensive character. Yeah, his main thing got countered. I think it was terrible what they did to Broly, but he at least was like decently competent in doing some damage. What does this guy do? He doesn't do damage. He doesn't tank. He doesn't support. He just takes damage. He sits there and takes damage, and you lose off a timer. Incomplete. There has to be one more new LOE release aside from Zenkai Legends Limited Cooler that's going to make him look good. I think he's going to be like Daima Vegeta. No! Oh my god. We're not doing this. We're not bringing up Daima Vegeta here. Daima Vegeta dropped, and you guys can go back. I hand in the air to God. People were calling Super Saiyan 3 Daima Vegeta bad. Hand to God, I promise you. People were calling Super Saiyan 3 Daima Vegeta bad. I swear on my life. I swear on my life. Wonky at first, then he gets one more unit on his team and he's a god. Vegeta was insane. Vegeta just soloed every team. You swapped into the battlefield with Vegeta. You press strike card, you press strike card, you press blast card, you press strike card. You killed somebody most of the time. It was like the biggest face roll character ever. Super Saiyan 3 Daima Vegeta. Animation wise, I love him. They certainly did not disappoint me on that end. Yeah, I can't hit. The animations are top notch. In-game performance, from what I can tell, he succeeds at taking big hits, but any unit with 2 comebacks would. You can tell just how much they held back on his damage and tanking out of that. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, you can't do this in this game. Like, this confirms to me you can't really make a character with 3 lives in this game, because there's not really much they could have done here besides just completely change the way he's designed and making him an offensive character. His damage is low, but whatever, not the point. I think he's a great addition to Eloise. He provides a get-out-of-jail-free card with his comebacks, and his overall presence just helps Ultra Frieza be even better than he needed to be. I don't see how this, like, why would you run this guy next to Ultra Frieza over Namek Goku? And if you're running Namek Goku next to Ultra Frieza, why would you run this guy over Krillin? See what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to reuse this character. His kit feels like a Mega Rising experiment or a side SP like Red Cell was back in the day. Everything about him is lackluster except the fact that he has 2 comebacks. I get that's the point, but he's the newest LF. His gauge should have been better or something. Yeah, it's fair. All right, we'll do a few more here and then wrap up. As a tank unit, he should have been like Garlic Jr. to actually be better, even if he had just 2 lives. Probably made just for Ultra Frieza because he's the only one I've seen working fine with him. I don't think this is even the case. Like, how does this guy work well with Ultra Frieza? Just the fact that Frieza reduces sub count, so you can swap into this guy and eat something. Even if you swap into this guy to eat the rush, you're just losing off of damage at that point, right? I don't know what legends have to release tank. I don't know what legends have to release tank units. Were they that broken back then? I mean, we could do a quick look back here. If we just filter by defense type again, like what were like the mega broken defense type characters that existed? Turles, I would say, was pretty broken. Kid Buu. The fact, like, why was this guy even considered a defense type? I guess he just because of the way he healed. Kid Buu was insane. Kid Buu was the best unit in the game when he came out. He came out in April before the 5th anniversary. This was the #1 character in the game. And he was even the #1 character in the game during the anniversary before Goku and Frieza got buffed. Like, this guy was easily better than pre-buff Goku and Frieza. It wasn't even close. Super Vegito, I wouldn't really call Super Vegito broken, but he was like contending for #1 in the game when he came out. I think he was the best unit in the game. Any other like broken defense types? There's some good ones in here. Like, I think Tamagami #3 is really good. I wouldn't say he's broken. Super Trunks is really good. Wouldn't say he was broken. This guy was really good. Wouldn't say, like, this guy was really good, but he was really good for like a very, very short amount of time. But I don't know. Would I say he's broken? No. Jiren was really good. Wouldn't say he was broken. This Zamasu was really good. I wouldn't say he was broken though. He was like one of the best 1% sparkings ever though. Blue Topo. Blue Topo was insane. I don't think I'd go as far as to say he was broken, but he was really, really good. This guy did everything. He tanked, did damage, locked in, supported. Like, this guy did everything. Purple Cooler was really good. This yellow full power freeze of the OG one was insanely good. There were people saying this guy was like the 2nd or 3rd best unit in the game when he dropped, because it was like purple Super Vegito, blue Namek Goku, and then like this guy. He was insanely good. This Gotenks was really good, but he was bugged. His ult had a 100% chance to faint. This red Vegito was actually really good. This guy on Zenkai was broken. Yeah, we could say that. Green Fat Buu on Zenkai was broken. This might be one of those characters where they look at and they're like, okay, we don't want to make a really good defense character again. Like, this is what happens. This guy plus like fusion, or not fusion. This guy Fat Buu plus this red Zamasu and Super Baby 2. Green Piccolo was certainly broken, but I mean, this is a launch character. Like, this is the best unit in the game on day 1 of the game, Green Piccolo. But how much stock do we want to put into a day 1 launch character? Like, yeah, we could say he was broken, but I mean, there's like no characters in the game when he came out. But yeah, I mean, you look at like the history of defense types in the game, and there are very few characters on here that I'd really consider to be quote unquote broken. I think we'll probably do these 4, and then we'll be good to wrap up after that. Do you think Cooler would be worse than DKP if he didn't have any second life mechanic? If Cooler didn't have any second life mechanic, he would probably be the worst sparking ever released. Probably. Yeah, I think he would be the worst sparking ever released if he didn't have any second life mechanics. Yeah, he'd be the worst sparking ever. Probably. And how does DKP compare to the strongest red unit of all time, LF Fuse Zamasu? I mean, Zamasu destroys DKP, right? DKP has one mechanic, Rising Rush. Extremely good, but outside of that, he does nothing. Using Zamasu at least had some utility. He's a defense type that struggles to take hits while having no good form of disrupt. So he's just a damage farmer for your opponent. Yeah, exactly. Final form cooler Zenkai for him has to be what Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku did to Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, or else he's probably the second most worthless release of the year. I don't see how, I mean, this might be like a gazing moment. I don't see how, let me just go back to normal. I don't see how you can possibly think Metal Cooler is more effective in his role than Demon King Piccolo is. What is Metal Cooler contributing to your team that you actually would find value in? Because I think what this character does, in the fact that he has 3 lives, again, I'll say it, I've mentioned this many times at this point throughout this video, and it's getting repetitive, so I'll end soon. The fact that this guy has 3 lives literally makes him worse. It makes him worse than if he just died immediately. I'd rather this guy just die immediately. Demon King Piccolo at least has the rush mechanic, which is super powerful. The problem with this character is you can either get guessed with a rush, and then outside of the rush, he's just doing like almost nothing. But he's not actively hurting you, right? You put this Metal Cooler on your team, you might as well be, you know, like taking a stake and stabbing it into yourself. It actually feels like this guy hurts you more than helps you. I've never, in 7 years, over 7 years now playing this game, I've never felt that way about any premium release ever. Putting them on your team actually hurts you. It's insane. He's a defense type that struggles to take hits while having no good form of disrupt, so he's just a damage farm. Okay, I think we already read this. Yeah, we read this one already. Pretty mid. His defenses being so bad early on makes his first 2 lives basically useless. Not only are they useless, they hurt you. Him having such low damage guard, like it actually makes it worse. His damage is mediocre, so he doesn't provide anything useful to the team. This might change depending on what they do with Cooler Zenkai. People are just, you know, I get wanting to be hopeful, and I get wanting to be positive about maybe, oh, there's maybe going to be a future release that helps his character. When a character is this flawed, it's like impossible for a separate release to really fix all of the problems with this unit. It's just not possible. He's not that good, but I don't know. I feel inclined to summon on him in case he turns out to be another LF Pycon or Triku situation. Triku was really good, like even before Turtles dropped. And Pycon was... I wouldn't really call him like exceptional before Legends Fest, but the thing with Pycon is that he at least had very clear uses, right? There was a very clear path to what the character wanted to accomplish. That does not exist with this character. This character is really good at dying a lot and taking a lot of damage, and that's how you lose in this meta. I didn't do it just yet, but I might. Also curious about running an LOE team with King Cold and Cooler with Ultra Dynamic Goku to get the extra blue card buffs. I would just say skip the banner. There's really no there's almost no upside to summoning on this banner. It's so bad. Yeah, it's just a very very unfortunate release here. I don't know what they were trying to go for. Again, I think the developers kind of just misunderstand what makes a good defense type character. If their understanding of what makes a good defense type character is that the character is just able to survive for a very long time, then they did accomplish that with this character. But your win rate is going to be like 0. Because yeah, the guy is surviving, but he's taking actual planets of damage, right? I've said he takes mountains of damage. He's taken more than that. He's taken planets of these solar systems, galaxies, universes of damage. This character gets hit by a 6 million Namek Goku blue card. It's essentially a Rising Rush. It's impossible to come back from that. Like you could be comboing with Ultra Full Power Frieza, death beaming the opponent, and Ultra Full Power Frieza will be trying his best to cover for the damage that this guy takes on your team. but it's an uphill battle, even for someone as dominant as ultra full power Frieza. This guy struggles to fill the gaps on the team if you use this guy next to him. This is probably the single most clear example of just negligence. There was no testing done at all for this guy. Zero. Actually zero. They didn't test this guy. It's impossible. Either they didn't test this character at all, or they have no idea how their game works. There's no in between with this. There is none. And it's unfortunate because I think the concept is cool, right? Okay, 7 years in, we finally get like the coveted 3 life character. People have been asking for it. I'm not opposed to the idea. It's just almost impossible to get right. And they didn't get it right. They didn't get it right. I think the only way to do this is you got to make the character just offense. Straight 100% offense. And, you know, they kind of leverage their lives as a way to make up for their lack of defense. That's the only real way I can see this being a thing if they want to do a 3 life character moving forward, because this ain't working. This ain't working. This is a terrible release. Again, the only premium character I've ever really felt literally hurts you more than helps you by being on your team. Just a disgraceful release. Maybe you guys disagree. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.